The following may contain strong opinionated views. The views and opinions expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the views or the opinions of any social media or broadcast platform.
Hi, welcome to Talk Back Live, a show that gets you involved in live conversation and sports with Brian Camp on Sports Update, bringing you the latest developments in today's world of sports. And now here's your host, Frank Allan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a pleasant night to each and every one of you around the world and across the country. Here we are once again. It's Thursday. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. It's Friday morning in London at 1 a.m., 3 a.m. in Israel, and it's 9 a.m. in Tokyo, Japan. They're already set, ready to start their day, and we're going to have to catch up with them. We welcome you to another edition of Talk Back Live. This is where we meet each Thursday at this time. Of course, we get together with a little fun and a little conversation to each and every one of you, and we want you in on the conversation as well. We want to get you in on it. We're going to tell you how to do that in just a few seconds, but if you're watching us, no matter where you're watching us, I don't care where you are around the world because we're global. Even though we're coming out of New York City where we originate, but we're all over the world. So no matter where you are, you can be someplace on the other side of the world. We're right here. You're probably in a different time zone. So whatever your time is right now, look at the clock because that's what time we come on in your area each week at this time. And as I said, we're going to get together and get everybody involved in the show. Now, for all of you who have been around with us for quite a while, well, we thank you so much for doing that. And of course, we needn't tell you, but I tell you anyway. We really appreciate you, and we're so grateful that you're here with us. We're also so grateful for the people who possibly may be new to the program, so I'm going to tell you how this whole thing's work. As the host of the show, I get things started because I'm in the mode right now of getting things rolling, right? So we start rolling with it. This is what I call prepping. So while I'm prepping the show, you, at any time, right now, as we speak, can chime in and start conversation going. And if there's something that you have to say, all you have to do is use your keyboard on your computer, your phone, and your tablet, or whatever device that you use that supplies you with a computer screen or even a keyboard. All you have to do is just type it in there. I will see you right there on the big screen. Of course, what I'm going to do, of course, I'm going to acknowledge you, as I always do. And that's providing you say something. And then if you have something to say, I will see that and then I will acknowledge it. Otherwise, if you're just coming in, and I see you all when you come in, if you're just coming in and that's all, well, I won't say a word to you unless you say something first. That's how we do things, out of respect. That's how we do it. And so for the rest of you guys who have joined us, especially if you're just watching us on Facebook, because that's what we're on 3 different platforms. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you're watching us on Facebook right now, we want you to take the time to tag all of your friends. Maybe not all, because some of you guys have many more friends than you can really handle, so you won't be able to get there and actually tell all your friends, but a few at a time. If you're new to the show, maybe you want to come back next week and then add a few more, and then each week add a few more after that. But what we want you to do right now is take your best shot, your best friends, right? And get them involved in it right now and tag this show to them. They'll see that tag. And then those coming from you, if they're online, they'll see it. And all they have to do is click onto that tag. And then further enough, lo and behold, it brings them right here automatically. So there's not a thing that you have to do that's strenuous, or you don't have to skip a beat. By watching this show, it's just tagging them and they can do it. And you can do as many as you like if you want. It doesn't matter. We really, really would appreciate that because the more the merrier. Now, if they like what they see, if they like what they hear, of course, hopefully they'll come back again and again and be regulars just like you. So we want you to just keep that going. Keep that in mind. That's very important. All right. Okay. So for the guys who are watching us on YouTube, all right, I have a YouTube channel. You already know that, right? Because you're watching us on YouTube, right? Well, if you're doing that, and if you haven't done this thus far, maybe you ought to do it right now, is subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? You're right there right now. So all you have to do is drag your mouse over there where it says subscribe, subscribe. Right there, it's in black border, white print. And all you have to do is just click right onto it and automatically you're in. Now, there's no charge, no nothing. You know, you don't have to worry about anything. It's all free of charge. It's just a matter of just taking the effort and clicking on and subscribing. Now, we want you to subscribe because we would like to find out who's actually here with us. How many people are here each week? How many people actually follow us? Well, we keep a count of that, and that gives us an idea. The other reason why we want you to do that is because now that you have done it, it gives you the opportunity to know that anytime you come on live, we come on live, and you happen to be out there, and let's say, for instance, you forget about the show, you just preoccupied with something else while you're online. Well, there's an instant notification that will pop right up just to remind you that the show is on the air. And when that instant notification comes up, we hope that you will click onto it because it brings you automatically to the YouTube channel, and you can watch the show right there. Now, any other activities that's on that you see that pop up. It doesn't have to be a live show. Now, we're only here maybe once a week on Talkback Live. And any other time that you see a pop up, then you know there's something going on. There's a little activity going on the website, on the channel. And all you have to do, you can find out what that is. It doesn't lock you out. Just click onto that and it shows you exactly what happened. So there you have it. That's the way it is. And keep all of the voices coming in, especially you guys who are watching us on Instagram, because you don't have to do anything special except for tell your family and friends about us and let them know that we're out here and that we'd be much obliged if they would join us just as well and keep the word percolated between your family, friends, and your relatives. That's all it takes. So you got all of that going. That's how it rolls. Okay. We thank you so much for being along with us. And some of you may be at work right now. Some of you may be just getting home from work, depending on where you live. Some of you are already relaxed. Maybe some of you are ready for bed. Don't go to bed yet. Just hang out with us for the rest of the hour. And then, you know, you go off to beddy bye. But wherever you are, we're here each week for you. And we thank you so much for being along with us. So keep the word going, everybody, and let everybody know that we're out here and we're ready to go. Now, we always do our thing too. We interact with you, but we always do our special thing that we keep things going on the show, break up the monotony. For instance, just a few minutes from now, not too long in the program, we're going to hear from Brian Kemp. We're going to call on him because he's coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we call on him each week because he's our sports guy. And he'll bring us the latest developments in today's world of sports. The name of his show is called Sports Update. You get a chance to hear from anything that you want to know about sports. You could ask questions. You know, while he's here on the air live, you could ask questions. Anything, any sports-related questions, and we'll have the answer for you. If you're watching us on Facebook, watching us on YouTube, you'll get a chance to see him. He'll be right there on the screen. That's not the same opportunity that you'll get if you're watching us on Instagram, because we don't have that luxury of having him on the screen. But you'll hear him. You could hear him. He'll be here, and you could hear him as if he was on the radio or something. And you could still ask the questions that you want. We'll see you. We'll relay those questions to him. And of course, he'll answer the questions. So that's the only difference between watching us on YouTube and Instagram or YouTube and Facebook, is that you don't get a chance to see him on Instagram, but you will be able to hear him. So that's the only difference. It's the only change. So we look forward to hearing from him. That's coming up. And later on in the program too, we have what we call This Day in History. Now, each week we go and we do our research. So we have to research everything before we put it out there. All right. Well, this day in history, and this day in history, something went on this day. Now, today is the 24th of April, and we're almost at the end of the month and headed for a new month. And something happened on this day in history, and we're going to find out what that is. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. A lot of things coming on. And of course, before the show is over, we have the movies that we always tell you about. We go and research our movies to find out what's going on, because the weekend is almost here. You know that, right? And during the weekend, there's a lot of things you're going to do. Now, I tell you something, being that the weather's getting warm, we're in spring mode now. Before you know it, summer will be here, and you'll be doing a lot of things. A lot of activities be going on, outdoor activities. But one of the things that you may want to do this weekend is catch up on some movies that you haven't seen in a long time. And that's when I'll come in and, add my 2 cents to that. And so all of that is coming up. We thank you so much for being with us. Remember, all of the views and the expressions or the opinions expressed on this show, Talk Back Live, does not necessarily reflect the view or the opinion of the people of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Zoom, or any other social media outlet or broadcast facility. And yes, as I said, it is April. Now, they say, let's see, how does that poem go? April showers bring May flowers. Well, we're just about over April. So we're going to see the May flowers that are blooming. And as a matter of fact, if you look outside your door, depending on where you live, you'll see the blooming of all of the budding of the trees. It's right there. It's starting to bloom. And that lets you know right there that things are starting to pop. Things are ready to grow. And summer is on its way. Now, you may be living in an area where there's a lot of things to be done as far as activities go. For the summertime here in New York, we've got so many things going on here. One of the fun places to be in New York, you've got Coney Island and all of the great amusement parks and outdoor activities. Everything happens here. And so we invite you to do that. Just keep abreast of all of that's coming along. It won't be long now. I know this past couple of days, we had some nice warm weather. And you can look outside your window and you can see people actually taking off their jackets. Now that's for us. Now, other places got the warm weather before we do. A lot of people, they get warm weather before we get ours. And we kind of chug along with it because the temperatures, they elevate, they drop, and they're not stable until a certain time. And I think it's kind of on its way to being stable now, the temperatures, because we were up to 71 degrees here in New York early today. And I know on Sunday, I think it was this past Sunday, we went as far as 82 degrees, and then we dropped again, So you might want to be careful of that. If all of a sudden you get those high temperatures and it gets real warm and then all of a sudden the next day it just drops, let's say from the 80s to the 50s, because that's the kind of weather where it says, I got you. And then next thing you know, you have a cold going on, you have to nurse that. So you want to avoid that. And even though the weather may be somewhat warm and you're just coming out of a chilly part of the weather, you might want to take a jacket with you anyway. All right. You don't want to shred the clothes off too fast. It's not good for you. Anyway, thank you so much for being along. April is the time, and we're not celebrating anything in particular in April. We usually, each month you celebrate something. You've got something to celebrate about, right? Well, we're not celebrating anything, but we do have something that we look forward to telling you about. We talk about things that we draw attention to. And one of the things that we're drawing attention to right now is National Alcohol Awareness Month. All month long of this month, that's what we're going to be talking about. And for those of you who know people who may be under that umbrella, who need help, we have a telephone number for you that you can call. It could be you, it could be someone you love, someone you adore, and you want them need some help. And maybe they don't know where to get help. And that's why we're here right now. So you could take the phone number down and help them along. So the number that I'm about to give you is very important. And if you call this number and you don't get the answers that you need, I'm pretty sure they could steer you someplace where you can get that answer that you need. So the number is 866-927-0484. That's 866-927-0484. Call them, find out. They may give you all kinds of information that you wouldn't think that you would get, and they can direct you someplace to help you out. And there are a lot of good programs for people who suffer alcoholism, and like AA, for instance, and for the family, if they have loved ones that they're trying to cope themselves, it's Al-Anon as well. So you have all of those things, and I'm pretty sure that the number I just gave you, they can get you to other places like that. They talk about other places like that, and I'm pretty sure you could talk to real live people, because I couldn't imagine giving this kind of a phone number to something important like that, that you get some kind of recording. That doesn't sound right. You want information from a live person, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Give it a shot and see what you come up with. Okay, that's the National Alcohol Awareness Month. Okay. Also today, well, for us, it's the end of the day. It's National Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. Did you take your daughters and son to work day? Did you, take them out, let them miss school today and you just took them to work? Well, that's what this day was. That's what this day entailed. National Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. Now, some people have done it. Maybe some people couldn't do it. I don't know. But this was the day to do it. So that's one of the things that we look upon. Okay, all the other thing that I want to mention too, ladies and gentlemen, I can't do the show without mentioning it. You already heard about it because it dominated the news all week. Pope Francis died. You already heard about that. He died Monday morning, Easter's Monday. He died at the age of 88 years old, and all week long they were at his body is in state right now at the Vatican, and people are visiting. Now, last night, they were going to close it down around midnight, but people just kept filing in, so they kept it open all night. And I would imagine they're going to do the same thing, and then tomorrow as well. And then Saturday is going to be the day where the actual funeral is going to take place. So it's probably going to be all over the place, and it's going to be saturated with a lot of people. So that's one of the things I want to mention. Right now, we're going to take the time out right now and go over to Charlotte, North Carolina, as we always do each week, because Brian Camp is here with us, and he's got the latest developments in today's world of sports. Now, once again, if you have any sports-related information or sports-related questions that you want to relay to Brian, please feel free and let him know that you have that question, and he'll answer the question for you. Brian, welcome aboard once again.
Yes, good. It's good to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's a lot going on tonight here in the world of sports. When I say the world of sports, that's the world of sports. We got a lot of stuff. We got we got the National Hockey League playoffs, which was also in Canada. But we got also the NBA playoffs that's live and in effect. And we're just so privileged to even have this here right now. So, but it's a lot that's going on. A lot that's going on. Good news, my San Francisco Giants won today. If you want to find out about your team or anyone else's team that's tuning in, check your local listings. But my team won today. They deserved the win, but they got a little lucky. But we'll take the victory. We'll take the win as well. So hope all is well out there. It's 68 degrees here in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a little bit under the weather. My time in New York and coming back here, but I'm getting strong. I'm getting a lot better. And I hope everybody had a wonderful Resurrection Sunday / Easter Sunday. Hope all is well. And we started to go back to work and to school early this week. So hope everybody is back in full effect and in form. Good evening to Mary. Hope all is well with you. And just want to say, let's get with it. Well, let's start off right now as we speak. This moment on ESPN. Don't touch that dial. You listen to me. It's the NFL draft that's on now. Okay. You just stay right here for ratings reason. We're gonna, because if you turn away, The ratings might go away. If you and go to them, theirs will go up. So we going against ESPN as well. So we're gonna just say that the NFL draft is here from now until the 26th of April, which is from now until Saturday, and you could catch live coverage right after this show here at 9 o'clock. But it'd be going straight to Friday. Check your local listings for your teams or who they may be drafting. It's a lot of it's not a deep draft, but there's some good players that's coming out of college football to play in the NFL this coming season. Major League Baseball, Ryan Howard and San Diego Padres manager Mike Schmidt announced their plans to join the Negro League Pitch for the Future in bringing greater awareness to the legacy of the Negro League with a museum expansion. Now, they're going to expand this now. That's the good news. This came over today. Now, the Negro League's Baseball Museum president, Bob Kendrick, said that he hoped to raise $30 million to complete the project. Interesting that the Negro League had spiked of late because of the large part of the inclusion of the video games, the MLB. Now, if you're a video freak like me that play video games, I play Major League Baseball. It's called The Show, and you could you have players from the old Negro League, from players in the past, from Willie Mays, Jackie Robinson. So, all of this is just is coming into play, which is great. And when when the records of more than 2,300 players were incorporated last year into Major League Baseball statistics, that was a big thing. A lot of people wasn't going for that, especially those old timers, those old time writers and fans who just want to keep things the way it is. But a lot has changed since 1947, and I think that's why they did not like that. But the 2,300 players were incorporated last year into their statistics. Like I said, now the museum that was founded in a tiny one-room office space in 1990 that attracted just about 70,000 visitors each year, and players that play in the Major League Baseball presently, when they come to Kansas City as a visiting team, they do stop by to see the old Negro League. That is one of the things that I do want to see. Um, I want to see soon. I want to go to Kansas City to see the Negro League, and that's something that I would very much enjoy seeing. So let's just hope and pray that this expansion will come true, because it's growing. It is growing more and more. Um, this day in sports, April 24th, 1956, American League umpire Frank Dumont is the first to wear glasses in a regular season game. They say umpires can't see balls and strikes. Well, I don't know if that's true back then, but he was the first to wear glasses. So congratulations to him. 1957, Chicago Cubs pitcher walked nationally record 9 Cincinnati Reds in the fifth inning. Wow, that's a lot of balls that was no strikes were made. So again, he walked 9 Cincinnati Reds batters in 1 inning. That was in the fifth inning. So that's called not being in control. 1962, Sandy Koufax, second career 18 strikeout game versus the Cubs, which they won 15-2. The Dodgers beat the Cubs. 1963, Bob Cousy plays his last game in the NBA, helped the Celtics win its 5th consecutive NBA title. 1974, the National Football League grants the franchise to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 1992, George Steinbrenner drops a suit against Major League Baseball. 2004, Mississippi quarterback Eli Manning, first pick by the San Diego Chargers. That was back in 2004. He he was picked, but his father had stopped it. His father had a lot to do with it. His father was Archie Manning. He's the brother, and Eli Manning is the brother of Peyton Manning as well. But he later became a New York Giant quarterback and guided them to two Super Bowls against the New England Patriots. Birthdays today, 1952. Pat Zachary, Major League Baseball pitcher, World Series Rookie of the Year, was born in Richmond, Texas. 1954. Vince Faragama, NFL quarterback for the Rams, was born in Torrance, California. 1972. Chipper Jones, Major League Baseball third baseman, Hall of Famer, World Series champion, and MVP, was born in Dillon, Florida. And happy birthday to, in 1973, to Eric Snow, NBA guard for the Philadelphia 76ers, was born in Canton, Ohio. And ladies and gentlemen, that is sports on a busy, busy Thursday night with the NFL draft, NBA basketball playoff, NHL hockey playoffs.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Your Giants now are in what place? The last time I looked back, they were in second place. Did they budge from there? Because I
Uh,
didn't look at things lately.
I could look that up. Yeah, that's an excellent question because they started the season off so well and they still playing well because they
Yeah.
just took 3 out of 4 over the Brewers. But it's
Hmm.
just that the Dodgers and the Padres are playing so well. Right now they're in second place. They're
Hmm.
half a game behind San Diego for first place, and a
Yeah.
half game ahead of the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
So that's where they stand. But the reason why I didn't look it up or really pay attention to it, I just looked it up because the season is early. The season is really early. So, we can't get too hyped. You start paying attention in the just before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
before the
Well,
All-Star.
that's just me because I like the states look at the standings, even if the baseball season is really early, but I still like to look at the standings anyway. That's just me.
Yeah,
But there are a lot of people like you, they don't really care about the standings in the early stages of the season.
right.
But I kind of like to stay on top of that anyway.
And that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Season, like I said, yeah, the season is early. Some of these players are still in spring training mode. So,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
it takes time. The pitchers will have a better upper hand on the batters because, you know, the batters are not getting their timing in set, when
yeah,
swinging the bat. So the
yeah.
pitchers have an advantage.
Everyone knows that I'm a Yankee guy. I love the Yankees, but that doesn't mean I won't call them out when they piss me off. Um, I think the past 2 or 3 games they could have won. They could have won those games. They were supposed to win those games. You
Mhm.
ever notice? I don't know if you're a Giant, so this doesn't bother you. But anybody else that watches the Yankees, they understand that it always when they're in a league. Let's say, for instance, it was one game they played. They were a 4-0 lead until they got to the ninth inning. And that's when they started screwing up, and then the opposite team bypassed them, and they won the game by one run.
That happens. That,
That
that
happens a lot, but that happens a lot with the Yankees.
Well, that tell you that they don't have a strong bullpen. Their bullpen is not that strong. I mean, if you have a lead like that, use your closer, which is your relief closer pitcher, is supposed to shut them down. Is supposed to shut down the opposition. So
Well, thanks for saying that because I said the same thing to another fellow Yankee supporter, and I said, you know something, this season, even last season, it was the same thing. I say the Yankees need to work on that bullpen. They really need to work on that bullpen. But everybody said, "Oh no, they're good. They're good. They're going to be good with the bullpen." I said, "No." And even now, you know. So yeah, you're right about that, Brian. I'm glad you brought that out so other people could hear that. But they need to really work on that bullpen
absolutely,
because
yeah.
it doesn't make sense for a team um, to get that far on the scoreboard and then later in the evening and get so relaxed. You can't, that game. that game of baseball, you got to play it until the game is over. You got to play it like your life depended on it until the game is over. You can't relax just because you're four runs ahead. You can't relax on that.
Exactly. I
That's what
mean,
the Yankees do. They
and
relax.
and through it all, the Yankees are in first place by 2 games over the Red Sox.
Yep.
The Mets are in first place in the National League. They got a 5-game lead. The Mets are getting off to a good start, and
Yeah.
so like I said, the Yankees only played 25 games. There's still a lot of baseball left.
Yeah, there's still a lot of baseball yet, but like I said, even though I'm a Yankee guy, I call them out. I'll call them out when they're not doing right. I'll call them out. And this is the time for me to call them out. Get that bullpen in order, man. Work on it. If you have to do extra, if you have to send a couple of guys back down to the minor leagues for extra workout, do it. But get that bullpen in order. Or if you're
I'm
going to
pretty
make
sure. I'm pretty sure that the New York Yankees scouts and management are tuning into the show right now, and they're probably listening to what you're saying, and they're probably gonna do something about it. They're gonna probably take your word about it.
yeah,
No,
because
yeah.
I've been with them since I'm 14 years old. That was a long time ago. Since I was 14 years old. Why should I turn back now? But I just want the guys to know that it's something that they have to work on. You know,
Exactly,
do I
exactly.
sound like a father to little boys?
You sound like George Steinbrenner, the late George Steinbrenner, who interferes in the what's going on with the Yankees. Uh, you know, you know, that's who you sound like.
Well, you know something, when he was alive and he was in the bullpen with those guys, not in the dugout with those guys, trying to keep them in check. I didn't understand it in the beginning. I said, no, you know what? I don't. He should stay out of it. But then later when I start to understand, I said, hey, something. This is the guy that's paying these guys salary and paying good money. He spared no expense with these guys, paid them good money. So I said, yeah, he had the right to do. Hey, I want to
Signs
see
those checks. He signs those checks.
signing the checks, and he says, I want to see baseball in October. He always said that. I want to see some baseball in October.
And the Yankees are always in the full season. Love them or not, love them, hate them or what. Steinbrenner always had his teams in the postseason.
He did. He did. And I miss him. I miss him. I never thought, I said, God, stay out of the game. Let the guys play the game. What do you know about it? He owned them. He writes the checks.
That's right.
Boys, got to play the game.
That's
Got to
right.
play. All right, we're gonna catch you here tomorrow.
You'll see me tomorrow. Yeah, you'll see me tomorrow. Just be on different location, but you'll see me tomorrow though.
Okay. So you take care of yourself. And when is the when do the Giants play again?
They
Are they
play they
tomorrow?
play they play sometime. They play tomorrow. I think
Okay.
they play against the Texas Rangers tomorrow night at home.
Yeah. Now the Yankees had a day off, a couple of days off, and they go back tomorrow. They go back to work tomorrow. Get your asses out there and play some ball, guys. That's what I say. All right, Brian.
Take
We'll
care.
catch you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Brian Camp, ladies and gentlemen, with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. And he'll be back tomorrow on the coffee hour. You heard us say tomorrow, right? He'll be back here tomorrow on the coffee hour with more sports. And hopefully the Yankees will get off their haunches and work. Now, the game tomorrow I think it's 7:05 Eastern, if you're counting, looking at 7:05 Eastern. That's when the Yankees start their weekend, start their playing for the weekend. And I just want to see my boys do good. I would have been with them all of these years. The least you can do is keep it going. I don't expect them to win every game. Of course not. You're going to win, you're going to lose, but win the games that really count. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't want it to be like last year when the Yankees made the World Series and they only won one game out of the whole thing. Only one game. And they lost that in New York. I said, if you're going to lose the World Series, lose it in their hometown. Lose it in Los Angeles. They played the Los Angeles Dodgers, which I think that's a curse word. Brian, if you're listening, I know I just said a curse to Brian. Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being along with us. The name of the show is called Talk Back Live, and we're going to be with you for the rest of the hour. And of course, so that means we get you involved in conversation. Hello, Mary Reed out of Brooklyn, New York. Mary Reed, did you like that I scold the Yankees? Anybody watching me that like the Yankees, raise your hand. Let me see what you got. Because they have to, because you love the team, that doesn't mean, you can't call them out. And some people, they say, something, the Yankees, they screwed up. Every once in a while, let me tell you, as a Yankee fan, every once in a while, the Yankees may piss me off so much that I may not even watch the next couple of games after that. I'll keep up with what they're doing. I'll find out whether or not they won or they lost, but I will not sit there and watch the game. And as much as I like baseball, I don't like extra innings. Something about extra innings just bothers me. Maybe when I was a kid, I used to like it because I used to go to Yankee Stadium, and sometimes the games went into extra innings. I said, hey, I can stay a little while longer. I don't have to go home there. I can watch more baseball. And then there was back in the day when they had the double headers, and then sometimes at night they had what they call the twilight double headers. You remember those days? And those double headers weren't games that they had made up. They were scheduled games back in those days. And I used to go to the double headers, and you only paid one price. You paid one price. You didn't have to pay two prices. You paid one price for a double header, and of course, box seats back in those days at Yankee Stadium were $8. They're probably $800 by now. I don't know. I guess I'm just exaggerating, but they're expensive seats now. But back then, the box seats were $8. The reserve seats, I believe, were $250. Up in the grandstand, the bloody nose seats were $1.50. And if you really were dirt poor at that time, you can go in the bleachers and pay 75 cents. However, you always had a good game going on. Anyway, thank you so much for being along with us for this day, for this Thursday. The week goes by so quick. Leave that. Goes by real quick. But we swing along. Okay, I think it's about that time to go back in time. On this day in history, in 1945, Miles Davis makes recording debut with the Herbie Fields Orchestra backing singer Rubber Leg Wilson at Savoy Record Studios in Newark, New Jersey. On this day in history, in 1949, the third Tony Awards go to Death of a Salesman and Kiss Me Kate. On this day in history, 1953, Winston Churchill was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. On this day in history, 1954, WSEE TV Channel 35 in Erie, Pennsylvania, a CBS station, broadcast for the very first time. Back in 1979, U.S. State Georgia designates Ray Charles' rendition of Georgia on My Mind as the official state song. On this day in history, back in 1933, R&B singer Freddie Scott, good friend of mine, by the way, was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and he died in 2007. Actress Shirley MacLaine was born on this day in 1934 in Richmond, Virginia. She's 91 years old today, still going strong. On this day in history, 1936, actress Jill Ireland was born on this day in London, England, and she died in 1990. On this day in history, 1937, jazz saxophonist Joe Henderson was born in Lima, Ohio, and he died 2001. Barbra Streisand was born on this day in 1942, and she was born in Brooklyn, New York. She's 83 years old today. Happy birthday, Barbara. Kelly Clarkson was born on this day in 1982, and she was born in Fort Worth, Texas, y'all. And She's 43 years old today. That's how she talks. I love the way she says that. And back in 1988, musician Fleetwood Mac of Mick Fleetwood, I should say, Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac, weds model Sarah Ricord. In 1992, David Bowie weds model Eileen, and they got married in Switzerland. In 2004, model actress Ali Landry weds TV personality Mario Lopez outside of Mexico. In 2013, actress and director Melissa Gilbert weds actor Timothy Busfield in Santa Barbara, California. In 2007, singer Whitney Houston divorces R&B singer Bobby Brown after 14 years of marriage. In 1974, Bud Abbott of the famed Bud Abbott and Lou Costello dies of cancer at the age of 78. In 1997, comedian Pat Paulson, who used to be on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, dies of kidney failure. In 2001, singer Al Hibbler dies at the age of 85 years old. Cosmetic entrepreneur Estee Lauder died on this day in 2004 at the age of 97 from cardiopulmonary arrest. And she was born July 1st, 1906 in Queens, New York. In 2009, gospel singer Reverend Timothy Wright dies from injuries sustained in a car crash at the age of 61 years old. In 2016, soul singer Billy Paul, me and Mrs. Jones, should I say any more? Anyway, he dies from pancreatic cancer at the age of 81 years old. And that's what's happening in this world of entertainment. And of course, if you know anything, of course, that's happening on this day in history, because that's what we're talking about on this day in history. If you know anything that's happening on this day in history and you happen to know something about it, let us know, because we don't know everything. You know, we don't even claim to know everything. What we get, we tell you about. And they may be something that you may know that we didn't know or never heard of. And that's what I like about you guys too. Sometimes you will clue me on a lot of things that I may not know about, which is good. A lot of people don't do that. You know, they say, I knew that, and they didn't really know it. You know, sometimes you may tell me something. I say, oh, I didn't know that. You know, and I don't feel bad about it because we all don't know everything. But if you know anything about what happened on this day in history, let us know. And we'll certainly bring it out to you. We'll put it out there. We love to put it out there. Give the people a little more education about what happened on this day in history on this day, April 24th. April 24th, almost the end of the month. How about that? Listen, I always ask you guys if you want to come in and conversate with me. I love when you guys do that. I love when you do that, right? And of course, I love communicating with you guys. Now, a lot of people, they sit there and they just want to watch the show and not say anything. And I understand that. I want to say hello to Jay Dansler out there. He's watching me on Instagram. Justin Dansler out there on Instagram. How you doing? Welcome aboard. Again, you know, just like Justin, he put himself out there. He's waving, so I wave back to him. And the rest of you guys, you come out here and you say something, and we really appreciate you because we would acknowledge you when you do that. So, and if you don't, and you just want to sit back and relax and just watch the show and try to make sense of it, I'm still trying to make sense of it. You can do that as well. But we would love to acknowledge you as we always do each week. All right. But for the rest of you guys, if you'd like to get in touch with me, that would be great. I have two sources that you can do that. I have an email address and a telephone number. Now, which one do you want? One or the other, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, I'll give you both of them. And I'll give you the email address first. Email address is Frank Allan Prod. Allan is spelled Allan. Prod is Prod. That's short for productions. And you got to get Allan spelled right, because if you don't, if you email me or attempt to email me with something other than what I gave you. Of course, it's not going to get there. So please do it right. ALLAN, Frank Allan Prod at AOL.com. That's Frank Allan Prod at AOL.com. We have a telephone number too. Now, telephone number is 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. Now, when you call or you email us, and you can do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you have all of that time. And it's always open. We never sleep. Of course, we sleep, but the emails and the telephone calls, they just keep coming in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. And you could talk about anything. You could ask us about the show here if you have any interest on what we do here, or maybe you have a idea that you want to relay to us that you think may be a good idea to put on the show. We listen to you. Can't guarantee you, but we guarantee you that we listen to you, and we listen to you very, very carefully, right? so, and of course, maybe you have a birthday coming up, bar mitzvah. I don't know. Maybe you just got baptized, right? Or what is it? What is the thing that they have for the little girls? What do they call it? The confirmation, right? Or whatever that is, right? Get all of that. You want to announce it on the show here? Either you come on the show and you can do it yourself. I'll see you there on the big screen and I'll read it off. Or you just want to write it and say, hey, dude, I don't want to deal with it. I'll watch the show, but I want you to do it for me. It's no problem. All right. So let me give you that email address again. Email address is frankallanprod at AOL.com. That's frankallanprod at AOL.com. Telephone number, once again, is 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. And please, we look forward to hearing from you. Even if you just want to say hello, we always look forward to hearing from you. Okay? Okay, good. Very good. Some weeks ago, I mentioned to all of you about the Voice of America Radio. And just in case you're not familiar with the Voice of America Radio, the Voice of America Radio is an outlet that's been around for over 80 years. For over 80 years. It's also known as the VOA. It's been around for 80 years. And it was a broadcast news information, and approximately 49 languages. 49 languages you could listen to this. It's something for everyone. And it reached an estimated weekly audience of over 360 million people worldwide. Now, remember I told you that on last month, 31st of March, remember? And I mentioned it on the show that it was going to be the end of the Voice of America. Now, for some of you guys, this is not new because this has been out for a while. It's just that I never had the opportunity to come back with it to update you on it. But just in case you didn't know, and maybe you care or you don't care, but the Voice of America Radio is still in effect. They're still doing their thing. They're still in effect. Nothing's changed. The broadcasting in all the 49 languages are still going on. And that was supposed to be one of the radio stations that FOTUS was supposed to abolish. And of course, that's a government radio station. And FOTUS was supposed to abolish that. He also wanted to dismantle NPR. And he didn't invite the people from NPR at one time. Remember that? You heard the story. NPR radio was a very valuable radio station for the public. Very valuable, just as the VOA. Very valuable. And he wouldn't let them in the White House only because of what they were saying. And what they were saying is that, remember when FOTUS had signed a court order, not a court order, but a executive order saying that from now on, we're signing this executive order. It's no longer going to be the Gulf of Mexico now. It's going to be the Gulf of America. Well, NPR didn't want to go there. NPR decided, well, we've been saying Gulf of Mexico for many years. The Gulf of America, that's not appropriate. A lot of people thought that. And so they kept using the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico. They didn't phrase it the Gulf of America. That wasn't their style. They didn't do it that way. The Gulf of Mexico. And of course, when Fotis got wind of that, he banned NPR from coming into the White House, the Oval Office, along with the other media people, and banned them. But now a federal judge ordered that the White House, they were back since, the federal judge ordered to the White House to let the Associated Press too, that's another one, the Associated Press journalists return to the Oval Office and other spaces immediately to cover news events, ruling it was unlawful to block the news service in a dispute over its choice of words. In this case, as I said before, the Gulf of Mexico. Because they didn't use the term the Gulf of America, they were banned from the Oval Office and they couldn't do any reporting. So the judge straightened that out once and for all. Now, I don't know, maybe they're still fighting with this thing. I'm not sure if they are still, but NPR, they're there. The Associated Press is there. And these are the biggies. These are the big wigs, especially the Associated Press. Everyone got their news from the Associated Press. And NPR, as I said, is a very valuable station. People listen to it all over. And to get rid of that, by the way, that's another thing that they wanted to do in terms of working with the Voice of America and NPR and all of those stations, wanted to get rid of all of that, because they're government-funded stations. So they figure they don't need those stations and they could use that money for something else. It's as if I didn't know what they were going to use it for, but they wanted to dismantle the Voice of America, NPR. And one other thing they wanted to dismantle, in case you didn't know it, NOAA Radio. Do you know what NOAA Radio is? NOAA Radio is a weather radio station. And all around the country, everyone has a station in their city of NOAA. I remember I used to carry a little transistor radio. It was strictly NOAA radio. It was strictly weather. And I used to carry it everywhere I went because I always wanted to stay on top of the weather where I went. But most importantly, that weather station was a lifesaver to a lot of people. Let's say people who were sailors, people who went out on the ships and went out on their boats. They had to know what the weather forecast. You don't know when a strong weather is coming. You don't know when a disaster is coming in without NOAA radio. That was the purpose of NOAA radio. Just in case there was some kind of traffic, some kind of disaster, weather disaster. And you can't go by on your local weather forecast alone. That's your local weather forecast. You hear your local weather forecast, that's your local weather forecast. And I'm talking about NOAA radio broadcast all over. And there was a station, every city had a station. And yes, I used to have that little radio, but now I don't have to use that little radio anymore. Because you can go online and there's an app for that. There's a NOAA app. And not only can you pick up your local station on NOAA, you can pick up the stations wherever you are. I listen to all of the stations. I listen to NOAA radio in Charlotte, where Brian is. I listen to NOAA in California, in Las Vegas, where I usually like to go. And I just like to check those radio. I even put them in my favorites. So whenever I take those trips, I can have them right there at my disposal. So you got New York, I got New York up there, got California, I've got Las Vegas, I've got Charlotte, North Carolina, And again, that's a very important outlet, NOAA Radio, because that's you got to find out whether or not you don't know you're going to have a disaster. Suppose, God forbid, and every time we get a hurricane season, that's when NOAA Radio comes in handy. And of course, they wanted to get rid of that, but that's still in effect for now too. So you have the Voice of America, you have NPR. That's all intact. Everything is intact there so far. Because what's going on now, there's so many things that's going on now. I don't even know if they have time to even think about those things right now, because right now everybody's talking about the tariffs. You know, we already know that FOTUS is now no longer, he blinked. I love it when he blinks, because when he blinks, that gives the rest of us hope. Because before, he was going to fire Jerome Powell. He's the Federal Reserve Chair. And so he made a complete turnaround. Things gotten so bad, they made a complete turnaround. Now he has no sense, he's not going to fire him now. And he said he never had any reason to fire him or any intentions of firing him, which we know was bull, because he already said it. He said, I'm going to fire him. He'll be out completely, you know. So Jerome Powell is still in office. That's intact. So you got all of the radio stations that I mentioned are intact. Jerome Powell's position is intact, because we're trying to avoid a lot of things, right? Especially a recession. Now, do you know, news says that within the next week or 2 weeks, they may be, if you go to your local grocery store, your local supermarket, or any place that you shop, they're going to be empty shelves. They're predicting in the next week or two, shelves are starting to be empty. Does that sound familiar, or does that look familiar? Because remember when we had the pandemic, and the pandemic was on, and you couldn't find those wipes. Everybody was looking for the wipes. Everybody was looking for hand sanitizer and paper towels. You couldn't find them because people were going in there ordering them. And it got so bad, if you remember, it got so bad that the grocery stores and the supermarkets had to sell them for a limited of time, like 1 to a customer, or no more than 2 to a customer. But people were loading them up in their cars and just driving away with so many paper towels, and it just empty all the shelves. Well, that's what this looks like. It's food this time. And I was watching. Why was I watching it? Because I just want to hear the BS again, to see, so I can report back to you. But today he had the press briefing today, and he said something like, well, we had prices went down. And I'm thinking to myself, prices went down. Now, anyone under the sound of my voice, or listening to me right now, or watching me right now, did the prices go down in your area? Because if they did, let me know so I can come over there and shop over there. But he said the prices went down, the prices of eggs went down. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I'm not going to dispute it, but I didn't see it. All right. Now you tell me, if you will, and if I can't get the answer from you tonight, maybe you want to email me the information that you did. This way, I want to find out where you are, not necessarily exactly where you are, but in your state or your area. And I'll come over there and do some shopping, because prices didn't go down here. We're in New York. Okay. So that's what they call the recession. That's the beginning of the recession. And they're looking and they're waiting. And everybody's on pins and needles just waiting to see what's going to happen. So they're predicting, and let's keep our eyes open on that. Whether or not it's going to be next week or the week after, where you start to see your shelves started to be empty. And some of those conglomerates who supported FOTUS are suffering now. And they're the ones that dished out the money to this guy. And they're having problems. Like Target, they're having problems. And all of those people who said, "Oh, we're gonna support this guy, we're gonna get rich," and they're suffering. But that's the way it goes, and you ask for it, You got it. What do they say? You get what you pay for. I don't have any movies this week. I did my research, but I didn't have any movies this week. But I do recommend something this week for you. I want you to watch Luther. You've probably seen this on before. It's called Luther. About Luther Vandross. Never Too Much. Luther, Never Too Much. It's a documentary. It was on CNN. It's a CNN project. It's been out for a while, but I just want to recommend that to you. It's a great documentary, and that's something you could watch. But if you're going to go on, check out some of the movies on Turner Classic Movies, go to the program guide, and you can check out what's there. And maybe you'll see something that you like. But personally, I don't have anything this week. But check out Luther, Never Too Much. A great documentary. And if you get it on the CNN app, it's only on CNN. Get the CNN app, and you can check it out from there. I got to go, but I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I'll be back with Brian Camp on the coffee hour. He'll be here with the latest developments in today's world of sports. And we'll see you then. Other than that, come back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern for more of Talk Back Live. Brian Camp will be here too, and we'll do it all over again. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a great morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
You've been watching Talk Back Live with your host Frank Allan. The producer is Al Dale. Technical assistant Dave Taylor. Research by Sandy Pierce. And I'm your announcer Donna Stenke. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Talk Back Live.